Hey, I'm Jess, and I'm a Canadian certified counselor at Eckert Psychology and Education Centre here in Calgary. Today I want to talk with you about something that comes up a lot in everyday life, getting triggered. You've probably done the reading, maybe you've already been to therapy, you even know your patterns already. You know that a certain tone of voice makes you shut down, or that short reply from your boss just makes your stomach cramp right up. And you've told yourself, okay, this time I'm going to respond differently. But then it happens again. The comment lands, your chest tightens up, something in you just instantly goes quiet or maybe reactive. And this is before your rational brain even has a chance to catch up. If this is sounding familiar, I want you to hear something clearly. You're not broken. You're not failing at anything. Your body is doing what your body is designed to do. What you're experiencing has a name, a neurobiological explanation, and most importantly, a real path forward. So this video is going to dive into the meaning of the word triggered, why we're sometimes most activated by those closest to us, like parents, spouses, or our very own kids. Then we'll briefly talk about how to understand this from an IFS, or internal family system framework, and then get into what might actually help. So what it actually means to be triggered. So let's start with the word triggered. It gets used a lot, but what is its clinical meaning? A trigger is any stimulus that could be a word, a look, a silence, a smell. It's any stimulus that activates your nervous system's threat response. This usually happens because something in the present moment echoes something that your brain or body has encountered in the past before. And this is not something that's metaphorical or symbolic. It's just the science of how your body operates, being a human being that you are. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux's research on the brain shows that our emotional memories, especially ones that are formed during stressful or relational experiences, these memories are stored and retrieved along pathways in our nervous system that operate faster than our conscious thought. So your nervous system responds before your prefrontal cortex, the thinking, reasoning part of your brain, even has a chance to weigh in on what's going on. And this can be really protective, and it can also be kind of annoying or get in the way of our daily lives sometimes. So when you feel like, I know better than this, I know better than to react this way, but I still find myself reacting this way, you're not doing something wrong. It's not weakness. It's not a failing. That's just how fast your nervous system moves, doing its thing automatically. So knowing better isn't always fast enough to stop it. So that's not a character flaw. That's just biology. Okay, so let's talk about why the people that are closest to us can be the most activating. It makes sense when you think about attachment. Attachment theory tells us that our earliest relational experiences, the ones we had as children with the people who cared for us, they are forming and wiring us with templates. These are like subconscious blueprints for how safe, seen, and valued we're likely to feel in our relationships in the present. When a present day relationship does something that just like twigs an old relational wound, things like feeling dismissed or criticized or like you're just not enough, your nervous system sometimes has trouble distinguishing, am I back then or am I in the now? And it can just respond as if the original threat is happening again. So that's why something small can land hard or have this automatic reaction still in our system when we're in a completely different situation. The reaction in the moment is rarely, almost never, about just this moment and just what's happening right now. It is our bodies are designed to react to things in the moment based on everything else, all of the weight of every other time you felt that same way in your past. So for a lot of high-functioning professionals, this might show up as holding it together completely at work, then falling apart at home, maybe the other way around. That's not being inconsistent. That's just your nervous system running out of steam, running out of capacity. It's doing its best, it's doing what it's supposed to do, but it's stretched thin. Let's talk about your inner parts. One of the frameworks I find the most helpful, both personally and clinically, is called Internal Family Systems. It was developed by Dr. Richard Schwartz, and at its heart, it offers this really compassionate idea that we each have an internal system of parts. These are not multiple personalities, but they're like different voices or patterns within. These different parts developed at different points in our lives to help us cope and to survive and get through what we needed to get through at the time. So when you get triggered, how we would understand a trigger in IFS framework is that there's a protective part that's stepping forward and responding. It might be a self-critic part. It might be a part that learned to go quiet to stay safe. It might be a part that's really hypervigilant of signs of criticism. It might be like an over-explaining or appeasing part or a withdrawing part. Any of these parts, the goal is usually to avoid conflict or rejection, to keep you safe, to keep you in connection with those you care about. So these parts are not your enemy. There are no bad parts. These parts are deeply loyal to wanting to protect you. And they were just the strategies that developed in a younger version of you to navigate something hard. The challenge is that when we're dealing with these strategies and these protective parts in the present, even though they were brilliant and necessary at the time that they first were developed in your system, how they're reacting now in the present can feel like a misfire. It can feel like not the right thing for the situation. So, for example, a part that protected you in a difficult childhood home might now be showing up, and when you're trying to develop intimacy in relationship, it can feel overly risky, and something in you can be having resistance to that. Maybe a part that learned to overfunction to gain approval is the part that's now driving your patterns of burnout that you've been experiencing off and on for years. So when we can understand it from a perspective that this is a part that's trying to protect us, and it's not all of us. The one behavior, the one protective part behavior isn't all of who I am, it's just a part. This can help us shift the question. Instead of saying, what's wrong with me? Why is my body reacting this way? We can say with compassion, whoa, what's going on? What is this part? What is this part carrying? What is it showing me that I need? And this shift from self-blame to self-curiosity, that's where we can start moving towards healing. So this is why knowing better isn't enough to override our triggers. Insight on its own, understanding on its own isn't enough to change how our body is responding in the moment. So when we look at research on neuroplasticity, it tells us that new neural pathways are not built through understanding and insight alone, because you can't think your way out of a triggered state. The way that you do it is you regulate your way through it. And this is an again and again and again process. You regulate again and again until your nervous system gradually relearns that safety in this moment is available. So here are 3 things that can help you start doing that. Number 1, name what's happening in your body, in your bodily sensations. Notice how the trigger is showing up for you physically. Do you notice a tight chest, a weight on your shoulders, a lump on in your throat, maybe a sudden urge to disappear or just fix everything really quickly? This is called somatic awareness, and just noticing what's happening in your body. This is the first on-ramp towards regulation. So when you can name it, you're starting to get enough space from the trigger that you can actually start working with it and choosing your next move. Number 2, get curious about the protective part. Curious and empathetic and compassionate, leaning into this part's story. We're not here to shame or repress or shun our parts. We're here to lean in. What is going on with the part that is triggered, not just the automatic reaction? What's the story behind it? How old does this part feel right now? What is this part of me afraid of? Often these protective parts were developed in a younger version of ourselves, and this younger version had an unmet need. And so starting to recognize this, starting to lean in, hear the story of these protective parts, can start to unburden them and soften them. Number 3, slow down. What can you do to slow the moment down before you respond? Even though your nervous system works at lightning speed and the reactions are faster than your prefrontal cortex can get online, how can you choose to slow the situation down? Can you take a bathroom break, go to the bathroom and splash some water on your face? Can you just step away for a moment to yourself? Can you take some nice deep breaths with your diaphragm? Can you just ask whoever you're with for a break? I just need a minute, I'll be right back. This creates space in your body, in your nervous system, for that thinking, rational part of your brain to come back online and help you out, help you have access to all the reasoning you need to make the decision to move forward in this circumstance in the best way. So that's not avoiding an issue, that's just choosing strategies to help you regulate. The last thing I want to say about triggers is that your triggers are important information. I think this is really important and super hopeful. Your triggers are not obstacles, they are helpful information. Every time you notice a reaction that feels bigger than the moment should feel, outsized hurt, sudden withdrawal, a flood of feeling that doesn't quite match what just happened, this is your body showing you something about what you are carrying, about what mattered deeply and maybe wasn't met, about what your nervous system learned to protect. This information, when we explore it with curiosity and compassion instead of judgment or shame, this can become the material of real, lasting, and liberating change. Not just better coping tools, but a genuinely different relationship with yourself. It can be more grounded in who you really are, rather than who you needed to be back then. So what if your trigger isn't just an annoying automatic reaction, but if you could see it as an invitation from the wisdom in your body to move towards healing? And yes, this kind of work does take time, but it is absolutely worth it. So if you recognized yourself in anything that I've shared today, the over-explaining, the shutdown, the anxiety spikes, just want you to know that what you're experiencing is really common and that these kind of experiences don't have to be a permanent part of your life. At Eckert Center, we work with clients who are navigating exactly this experience. We use approaches like IFS, EMDR, somatic regulation, attachment-informed therapy, and we help you to understand your nervous system, not to pathologize it, but to make sense of it, to work with your nervous system rather than against it. You've maybe spent a long time trying to figure this out on your own, and you don't have to do it on your own. There's support available. So if you're ready to take your next step, you could try booking a free 15-minute consultation to see if you could find a good fit with myself or one of our other team members. Or you could go ahead and book your first session directly online at eckertpsychology.janeapp.com. The link is down below in the description. So thank you so much for listening, and take good care.